Hello everyone in the chat. Can you see us both? Can you hear us both? And are we at good volumes? That's what we want to know.
I gotta refresh my stream myself. I'm trying to tune in.
I'm trying to, yeah, I mean, that was, talk to me about that final, that grand final. What are your thoughts on that? Because we just saw a little tweet from Jay Viscant, and he was very upset with the Manat play there. He felt it was a bit boring.
I don't think Viscant was upset about it. I think that's Viscant being Viscant. I'm sure he knows Justin Wong very well. But it's more like it's commentary on the inefficiencies of Justin Wong, yet despite that, he's able to win with his fundamentals and I don't want to say crude, but it's like he has average, sometimes above average combos with the characters, but his decision making and his awareness of space, that's what carries him with it. He's good.
Did you find Did you find that finals interesting to watch? Because I thought it was a bit boring. I mean, like you probably looking at it on a different level to me, so you're probably like, oh yeah, that's like really good zoning. Or did you find it boring?
I don't disagree with you. I'll put it to you like this. I gotta find ways to. Okay, so I did commentary at Top 8 for Summer Jam last weekend.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was my job to talk the players up and talk about the gameplay and make it sound like, let's say Street Fighter V is not that great, but I want to make it look great with the way that I'm talking about, the way I'm talking about players. And that's how I feel like I want to talk about Street Fighter V in this kind of situation as well. But with that being said, I like Chun mirrors in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Most people don't want them on the screen because it looks like it's kind of, boring, not a whole lot of action. You see a lot of whiff normals in the mid-range. You don't see a whole lot of just action. But I enjoy it for the movement, how they're whiff punishing, how they're reacting to different situations. I like it. To me, it's like watching Floyd Mayweather in a mirror match with himself. But a lot of people don't like watching Floyd Mayweather fight because it's physically boring. So in Street Fighter V, I don't feel the same way. So to that, I do agree. Okay.
Is it because there's too much of a random element in 5?
You can't react to the
yes.
To the I shouldn't say never, but whiff punishing is not something you see. Confirmation, like when you get a wish punish confirming, you do see that quite often. But with Manat, it's
well, you can't whiff punish Manat, right? Because she doesn't have any hurt box on her normals with the orb.
I don't want to be too defined. Like maybe there are some things that Cammy could do, for example. Maybe she can EX spiral arrow on a heavy punch, but it just, I don't know. It's like what do you do besides try to generate a scramble, like induce the scramble and then force the guessing situation after that? And to me, that doesn't have the same dynamic.
Okay. All right. So we're not gonna we since we've got you here, I want to talk about you. And I just wanted to get your hot take on that, because I know everybody has kind of come through in the chat probably from watching those finals.
No, I definitely feel you. Like it's hard to, it's really hard to dissect and comment on Street Fighter V top 8s in any case, because sometimes they do have good moments, but it's hard to like the consistent highlight reels. I think those are harder to find, and like new stuff. Like, who's bringing something new to the table this tournament? That's what it's like, what am I paying attention for? It's going to be the same things, and it's like I'm more looking for certain players to win rather than looking for interesting plays in the game.
I've fallen off a bit with tournaments, but part of that is the saturation, because I'm just like, oh, there's 4 tournaments this weekend. I don't know what to watch.
That's interesting.
And some of it is characters. There's a good half of the cast where I'm just not interested in watching because I think they're a bit dry.
I feel you.
But I can watch things like, I'm very interested in seeing Nemo versus Bonchan, Sagat versus G.
Specifically the characters, the new stuff.
Yeah, those two characters. I mean, those two characters that you've been specializing in a bit recently. Oh, I mean, you pick up all the new characters, right? But it looks like you're having fun with those at least. I think I find them more interesting to watch anyway. But there's definitely also this saturation element, which is, I don't know. I just feel like recently there's been a lot. Even I see it in the chat. Like I turned on my chat today and somebody was like, Phenom 1 Street Battle Grand Battle or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
And then there's the mix-up, and then there's this, and it's just like, then there's Red Bull Conquest. So there was 4 this weekend, at least 4. But you know, then there's a premiere. I guess the premiere is obviously more important, but
Yeah, I have a lot of ideas to talk about in that regard.
okay. Well, let's talk about you first then. Let me turn my AC on because I'm drinking hot coffee and I'm starting to get a little heated here. And so give me 1 second.
I'll play something in the background to keep the stream entertained. Where's my keyboard? Keyboard cat.
Whew. Alrighty. So, my God, the thing is, right? I don't know how many people know this. Like, I'm sure the people in the stream, they're probably, you know, half of them are your followers and probably know you very well. But there's a bunch of people who probably don't, and I'd love to put this on YouTube as well. And so, let's start at the beginning, shall we? Let's go back to the early days. Where'd you grow up?
North Carolina. You mean location?
Yeah.
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Until when did you move to New York? You're in New York now, right?
Not at all. I've been to New York a few times, but
where are you? Are you still
I went from North Carolina to Virginia. So I joined the military about 7.5 years ago, and then I was with the Air Force for about 6 years, and then I moved back to North Carolina.
Okay,
That's
and
where I'm at right now.
What were you doing in the Air Force? Because that's quite interesting. I remember you saying before.
Avionics maintenance.
Avionics maintenance. See, that sounds pretty
the
technical.
Proper nomenclature was integrated avionics, and it's maintenance. It's I guess you can say the computer parts side of the aircraft, F-22 specifically.
Whoa, that sounds really technical.
It can be.
Yeah. What kind of things do you have to like? I mean, what kind of credentials do you have to do to go in and do that? Like,
well, you take a test for every branch of the military that you potentially want to serve in.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of that test. It's not the SAT, but whatever that test, it measures like your ability to see like mechanical, cognitive, reading comprehension, that kind of thing. So depending on how you test, that's how, if you go like open general, that's how, it's first of all how you can qualify for the military, but also what jobs you can qualify for. I went open general, so I took whatever they would give me, and I happened to get that job. And it's one of the hardest jobs in the Air Force as far as physical labor, thinking, and I work next to what people consider one of the hardest jobs in the Air Force, which is crew chiefs. Right. They work really hard. But my part of the job was a lot more like rational thinking, making big decisions. I mean, I'm actually working around billions of dollars, and I'm responsible for keeping them in the air.
Okay.
And as far as credentials, you go to tech school. There's 2 different tech schools at the time that when I came through. There was electronic tech school, and then there was a tech school that was specific to 2 aircrafts, F-16 and F-22. So we learned about those aircrafts. But I mean, when you first get in, you're not troubleshooting like I'm trying to like think of the right words to use here, like broken aircrafts. When you first get in, you're not really doing that. You're helping launch jets. You're helping like clean the office. You're like scheduled maintenance. Nothing like big deal. Like this needs to get fixed right now. Most of the time. But you might help somebody, and then through that you get a sort of on-the-job training. You have like computer-based training. So that's really the qualifications. But we worked with like no shit engineers. We worked alongside people in the guard who have the avionics experience, electronical backgrounds. But it's a whole different ballgame. Like that subject area that's an intense one.
Wow. So the only reason I'm interested is because I'm always interested when people do really well at fighting games, and there's some context which surrounds it. It's like often like there's transferable skills between what they're doing every day and like what they're doing in fighting games. Like whether it be like certain people are a lot of musicians are really good at fighting games because of practicing repetition and cadence and all that sort of stuff and fighting
high
games.
Dexterity.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned that, high dexterity and fixing an aircraft, like if I drop a bolt inside of the aircraft, the maintenance hours, the man hours shoots up immediately because we have to find it, we got to retrieve it. We got to get some people out there. In some cases, we might have to open up a different section of the aircraft. It might fall like deep in, like it's a nightmare. So being steady with your hands, being accurate, knowing exactly what you're doing, it takes a lot of patience and a good mind to fix. It's just like being a mechanic.
And was there a lot of problem solving there as well?
Absolutely. Sometimes the jet doesn't tell you everything that you need to fix it. So, and then not only that, the political environment. I'm careful with my words here, but sometimes you're not always the person in charge of the decision. So you might be certain that something is the correct call, but somebody above you wants to do something else. So you gotta you gotta either argue it or do what they want you to do, and then if it's right or wrong, then you see what happens. It's not always sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow, but you have people in the way sometimes is what I'm getting at. So you have to navigate the communication. So that's something that
no, I understand. I mean,
maybe
I understand.
The thick skin, that kind of thing comes through.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I also played music, as you mentioned before. So what I
you
was
play
trying
music as well?
Yeah, I produced music. I played piano for a long time. I went to school for jazz briefly.
I swear, like everybody who, not everybody, but a large proportion of fighting game players play musical instruments, and that really helps with like the combos and all the things that you have to do in regards to, you know, the fight stick and operating it and practicing and all that stuff. So let's fast forward a little bit. So when did you start? I mean, maybe fast forward, maybe we're going backwards. I don't know. But when did you start playing fighting games, and when did you start taking them seriously?
Maybe somewhere around high school, like 18-ish. I'm 30, 31 in a few months. I'm 30 now, so it's been over a decade for sure. Shoryuken was where I found people to play. I just remember going to the mall sometimes, walking around with my parents or friends or whatever.
Yeah.
And I see like people at the arcade playing Street Fighter, MVC2, CVS2. They had an SVC Chaos for a brief moment. But and I would always want to hang out with them. They seemed like they were so cool, like iconic. Like they had lots of personality, always joking around. I wanted to be friends with them. They were like much older than I was. But I didn't really have a vehicle to go whenever I wanted to, like the mall arcade or whatever arcade was surrounding it. But my brother and I would play all kinds of fighting games. Alpha 2, 3, Third Strike, whatever. He had them all.
Oh, so you were playing from a young age, and then you went to the mall and saw people playing?
Oh, yeah. I guess you could say my first competitive arena was like Super Nintendo, because my brother
with your brother. It's always the way, man.
And they would kick me out. They would kick me out the room because they wanted it all to themselves. They want to share with me. They would tell me, "Sorry, bro, we started a tournament. Can't play with us."
We started a tournament?
Yeah.
How many of them were there? There's three of them in a tournament?
Yeah, they just wanted me to hit the road. That's all. I understand. No harm, no foul.
What was their rule set? What was their rule set in that tournament?
You think there was like 2 out of 3? I don't know.
2 out of 3?
The rule set was we want to play more than we want to share.
Yeah, I know. Well, that whole brotherly thing it's you know, I did the same thing with my brother, and in the end he quit Street Fighter. He was just like, I don't care about fighting games anymore. They're garbage. I'm never playing them ever again. And he never did. But we definitely had a rivalry with all games, Mario Kart, whatever it was, where we could play against each other, because that's all you had. Like, you know, the arcades were dying down. Then you had Super Nintendo. But yeah, I can see where that rivalry started. So then you started hanging out with these guys. When did you start taking? So you found SRK, and then I guess at some point you decided you wanted to go to tournaments and stuff. You wanted to play, you know, at a decent level. Like, it was
the arcade. The arcade was what motivated me to change the way that me and my brother played, because my brother, shout outs to Yeah Dude 120%, he wanted to play Third Strike with the system directions, everything that was like full blast. I want chain combos, all the super arts. I want air blocking, whatever. He wanted to put all the things, like to him it made it more interesting. But I wanted to go to the arcades and play it like they played it. And I think you could say that's the start of me taking it seriously, thinking about it from maybe an analytical approach, kind of. I was pretty bad, but I still wanted to play like everybody else and play with them.
Gotcha. And then when did you like? So here, so I know you originally as Jibbo, right?
Oh yeah.
And Jibbo was this guy at Evo who played Gen, which was just weird. Which was just weird. And then also, you were successful in Street Fighter Cross Tekken as well, right? I think.
Oh yeah, I did alright. I did alright. 1 year.
What do I have? What do I have here? I don't have anything. It sucks. I got an emote. There it is. Burner's using it. I got an emote today, so that's good. So tell me a little bit about that. When did you first start? Sort of. Well, actually, why? Why Gen? Why would you pick Gen?
Because it was interesting. Because I played Yang and it was his master. I wanted to play him in Alpha 3 a little bit, and then he happened to come out for Street Fighter 4. And I was sort of attracted to the lesser used characters anyway, so it fit the MO. And I knew that I could play that character when other people couldn't, because I had the hand speed. I can do like whatever his I forgot what his hand slap move is, where you hit the punches a bunch of times. I was like, I can do this. And then when I learned how you can do FADC and then combo into it again, I'm like, I'm in there, because I love having something that I can do that nobody else can do, or it takes work to do it. Like, it takes effort and practice to be able to do. I want to be like me. You know, as much as, you know, I don't mind playing top tier characters, you know, that's fine, but I want to be unique and be able to express myself in ways that other people might not be able to. And maybe through that I can not necessarily change the way people think, but open up or make people consider that there are other ways to play. Because back in the day, it was cutthroat. You go to top tier, or that was it. It was top tier or nothing. And,
So,
you know,
I mean,
there's a case for that, certainly.
It's definitely, I feel like, I mean, maybe it was a little bit different back in Street Fighter 4 days, but not a lot different. Like, we had the internet, we had information, and we had a sense of, like, tier lists and stuff, right? So, the reason I asked the question is I find it fascinating when somebody picks up a character that, you know, you haven't watched. Because when you picked up Gen, I don't think Sien had done anything with Gen, right? So, you picked up Gen in the same way that, for instance, let's say Smug. I asked the same question as Smug. Why do you pick up Dudley? It's like you're picking up a character that is a slight unknown.
It's more exciting too. It's funner to watch. Like, it's like the direct antithesis of what I was discussing with that Chun-Li mirror.
Yeah.
And like how you commented, Sagat and G is what people are interested in watching. And I like to make the thing that I'm doing exciting and fun and a better experience, even if they are perhaps rooted in wrongness to not like Chun-Chun, even though it's an opinion, maybe they're not informed. But why not go to that area that is exciting to watch, and then everyone enjoys it more? I think we need a lot more of that in all fighting games.
Yeah, actually, I would agree with that. Although,
but people want to win.
I do think that it's a little difficult for. I was thinking about this the other day actually, because for some reason in Street Fighter 4, people could come out of the woodwork with characters like Dudley and Gen, and I'm not sure you can do that in 5, but it's a
whole different discussion.
Yeah.
There's many moving parts and elements to that.
Yeah. So, let me ask you about your name. So, both names. So,
okay.
Jibbo. Tell me about Jibbo.
It's a short name to log into SRK with. I wanted to log in quickly. So it's 5 letters. Now, the word itself came from a North Carolina history book, from the word Juba, I think. And I just went home and changed the letters around. Because Juba is like when you pat on yourself to make a beat kind of thing. I was like, all right, sounds cool.
Okay.
Jibbo.
Fair enough.
I was actually just looking for unique words that looked weird. That's it. And then I just changed it.
Cool. And
now...
Yeah, go on.
And now it's like that old email that I want to get rid of. Like a big mini wheat at hotmail.com. I was like, I don't want to be Jibbo anymore. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me or something. But with the things I was doing with music, I wanted to like normalize and cross promote. So I just went with AUTOMATTOCK that's part of the reasons why. So I can just not be Jibbo as a musician, you know?
Yeah.
Keep it the same.
Okay. So talk to me about Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Are you still in love with that game? Do you still play that game? Were you in love with it when you played it, or?
I liked it more than 4 and Marvel 3 as a fighting game. I think Marvel 3 was fun to watch, but not always the best in terms of interaction. Street Fighter 4, I didn't like it too much, but it was still like being played. So you can have the best fighting game, but if nobody's playing it with you, then it's there's more people playing Street Fighter 4, so I stuck with it and I did okay. But as far as cross Tekken, I wasn't gonna play it. I was fed up with 4 and Marvel 3, so I was like, whatever, I'm not gonna play it. But a friend of mine had a raffle, and I got a copy. And then I was like, sure, well, I got it, so might as well see what it's about.
Okay, so I mean, like
probably not what you probably not what you expected. I mean, I was not that impressed by it. And
no,
I mean, it's like that. It's like that even to this day. The new games that come out from Capcom, they're released so horribly. So it's hard to not come with that sort of skepticism coming into it.
That's another long conversation, which I'm constantly talking about, but we can talk about that later maybe. So tell me this then. I have kind of 2 questions, and I don't know if they're linked or not, and I'm kind of interested, but tell me your favorite fighting game, and then tell me what's been your proudest moment in fighting games.
Whoa. Favorite fighting game has reverted back to Third Strike. When I was in Japan, I played Guilty Gear XR. I was learning the game, and it felt so rewarding. And to beat a Japanese player like who was running the arcade, I'll never forget it. It was like it's a really good feeling game. Over time, when I got back to the States, and this isn't why I don't consider it my favorite game anymore. When I got back to the States, it was a struggle to get better at it. Like I remember going to tournaments and then losing to Potemkin, going to tournaments losing to Bedman. I'm like, how am I supposed to get better at it? Who am I gonna play to like figure this out? So that was, I still think XR is fantastic. A lot of anime games are great, but I think Third Strike will forever be like that #1 because of the nostalgia and because of the game itself.
Yeah, and
that's my favorite game. As
probably the timing as well. Yeah.
Favorite moment? I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is probably not the highest moment of my career. I think top 8 across Tekken was probably the best I've ever done. What comes to mind is Wolfcrone, and I don't want to like talk about this because it sounds like I'm sounding condescending. It's not really, but do I want to tell this story? Wolfcrone. Okay, here's what happened. Street Fighter Cross Tekken at TFC. I wasn't practicing at all, but I still entered, and I was like, sure, whatever, I'll play. And then I got up to about like top 8-ish, somewhere around there. I played against Wolfcrone, and I had to use somebody else's stick, or maybe I was using my stick, but in any case, the stick malfunctioned while we were playing. So it was paused. I looked over at him, and he says something along the lines of, I'm going to take it because you're going to win anyways. I was like, why do you say that to a person? Just take the win. Just take the win. So I had to use somebody else's stick, and then he beat me. He crushed me. But I was so angry. I was so angry at the situation. I was like, whoever's in my path, I'm going to destroy them. I'm going to go back to whoever he's at. I'm going to kill him. Not literally. So I beat Ricky Ortiz. I beat Knuckle Dew, somebody else. And then I got back to Wolfcrone. And yeah.
And you beat him.
I grabbed him 4 times in a row for the win.
Oh, justice.
Yeah, it was a good moment. It was a good moment.
I like that.
But no disparaging remarks intended towards Wolfcrone.
No, of course not. I mean, these are fighting games. You have your moments, right? And it gets intense. And what did he mean? I'm gonna take it because you're gonna win anyway. What did that mean?
You're asking the same thing that I said to myself. Like, what are you? Because I paused it. My stick malfunctioned. He gets around.
Okay.
But he says, I'm looking at him like, and he's saying, I'm going to take the win because you're going to win anyways.
Okay. So he had respect. I mean, he had respect for you in some ways. It sort of sounds respectful.
Sure.
I mean, nowadays you can't make that choice anyway because the rules you can't make the choice, right? Like the rules are the rules. Like
right. It's a different era, different arena.
Yeah, which is better. It takes the emphasis off the players because it's dumb putting the emphasis on the players because it's hard being the bad guy sometimes. Yeah,
you gotta look at each other and shrug your shoulders. Takes their relief off.
Yeah, exactly, man. All right, so let's talk. So you're mainly playing 5 at the moment. Yeah.
That's true. It's like I always get pulled back into it with new content.
Mm-hmm.
And lately, G and Sagat have been. I mean, it's been successful for my stream too. So, not only am I enjoying the process, but I have the foundation now to make streaming a reality as far as like paying the bills. So I'm pretty happy about that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Uh,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. You know, like Zeku came out, and before Zeku came out, I wasn't feeling the game. And then like Sakura, Falk, and Blanca came out. I'm like, all right, I guess I'm done with 5. And then Cody came out. I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And I accidentally, I shouldn't say it like that. I grinded up to Diamond with Cody.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is kind of fun. Let me just keep doing it. And then I got up to Ultra Diamond. Not like trying to rush to it, but I got up to Ultra Diamond. And like my main account is still Super Diamond. So I don't really play online a whole lot. But once I got to Ultra Diamond with Cody around there, I'm like close to like 28,000 points or something. And then Evo, Sagat, and G came out. I was like, oh boy, I got a lot of work to do. And I was pretty like excited because it's always like good content, good experience. And I love that process. Like Street Fighter V is not my favorite fighting game, but I love like not creating the character, but understanding what the intentions are and how to do it. Like what do they want to happen with this character? That I like it. And then I like teaching it. And then I like, you know, innovating, I guess you could say.
Right, I was going to say, you went through a phase, right? So you were a player, you know, intending to win Evo and whatever, right? And then you went through, I feel like you were, at one stage you were like a special trainer or something you were on a team.
Yeah.
And now you're streaming. Like, is that the right path? So now you're interested in teaching.
It is.
You took an interest in teaching people, basically.
F3 took an interest in me coaching, and that's something that I kind of do anyways. So I worked with them in that coaching department, but I wasn't like they didn't expect results from me, even though I'm capable. I'm among that 1% of players who can do really well potentially at tournaments, but that's not what I like about Street Fighter V. So it felt like a good match that I could bring somebody else up, and since then, it's been sort of like in the background. Like that's not really in the background, but always a part of what I'm capable of doing. It's helping other players get better at what they want to do. Like that's always been something that I try to express. Maybe I don't love playing the game, but other people that love playing Street Fighter V, I can enhance their love for the game, and that is, you know, that's where like the meat and potatoes is at for me.
So when you've been working, before you started streaming and you were working with players, or if you are still working with players, do you work when you're working with like the professional players? Well, let's call them professional players, right? People who are trying to win at a high level. Do you work with them just on, let's say, matchups and strategic stuff, or do you work with them more holistically, like in terms of, I don't know, like this guy gets nervous or this guy has a mind block or stuff like that?
Well, I was working mostly with Antoine and some other members. Antoine Alucard.
Yeah.
I did quite a few things. I made videos. I made documents about players. I wrote matchup synopsises after each, like when he played against somebody, if he lost or if he won. Quite a few things.
So yeah, quite a lot of sort of quite well-rounded.
I mean, on top of finding new tech for the characters, showing when you can apply them, commenting on how a specific player is playing in a moment, that kind of thing.
Did you ever...
like, for example, I played Ray online one time, and then Antoine played him at NLBC. I was like, okay, block and then attack and then block. He's gonna X spinning bird after he blocks something, and then he did it, and then he did X spinning bird. I was like, yeah, as I told you.
I was gonna ask if you did.
And then he was like, how did you know? Because I observe these things. I see these things when I'm playing, when I'm watching.
I was gonna ask if you did research on other players, and that's kind of
absolutely.
That's pretty much it. That's the answer that you kind of gave me.
There's some other things too. I might tell you off stream.
No, I'm sure. I bet there are. Yeah.
Maybe I coached other players to so that they would win and then play Antoine, because I found them to be more favorable matchups.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Yeah. This is the stuff that I find very intriguing about what goes on with teams and what goes on with like people actually helping each other, and what it means to be in a team when you're playing in an individual. I don't want. It's not sport, but like competitive gaming. Like
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see it much with Street Fighter Five. I'd like to see that dynamic be explored, but who's
No,
qualified?
I didn't mean like I didn't mean. Do you mean like team games? I'm not sure if we're on the same page here, but I meant like, you know, what does it mean to be in a team? You know, like a sponsored team with other
Yeah,
players and
that's
with
a loaded
and with
conversation
people
as
like
well.
people like you on the team versus, you know, because it's an individual thing. You know, it's like.
Right. So you're trying to analyze what I have to contribute to a team, even though I don't particularly. My role isn't to place in tournaments.
Well, you've already. I'm not analyzing it. I mean, I've already done that kind of. I've asked you the questions, and you've told me that you added. You know, your role is really interesting because you helped.
Yeah. What
you
is the
helped,
value of a coach?
You helped the players win. You know, so like, I don't know how well organized most FGC teams are. I think some are more well organized than others. I think some are more invested than others. I think they all operate in a different way. Some, I don't know, like some just seem to pick up the best players and let them do their thing, and others will pick up players and it seems like they will help them and maybe coach them, or maybe have the players interact more so that they can help each other across games, or what have you. I just find
It's
that
good to have somebody in your corner.
I find that
It's
thing
definitely good to have somebody who can analyze your gameplay, having a fresh pair of eyes, somebody who can develop a tech that was just what you needed, or be able to on the fly tell you the thing that you could do as an answer to what your opponent's beating you with when you might not have found a solution as you could have before.
Yeah, well, that's happened a lot in the past, right? With not even just teams, with friends, with people who have a good eye in tournaments.
Certain
phone calls, right? Yeah, exactly. they gotta put some rules around that. I swear, it's hilarious.
You can turn it into like an entertainment, like make the dialogue be open, or you can have like one of those close. I mean, I'm not trying to like pitch ideas to you, but it would be. I don't know. I wouldn't say it would be whole like production to do this. I don't know, but I think it would be interesting at least to highlight the players for who they are and their relationships with their teams. I'd like to see more team battles, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I do find the relationships interesting. I've definitely asked players before about, you know, do they train together? So for instance, you know, last year I interviewed Saint and I interviewed JDCR.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, do you guys train together? And it actually turns out now I'm learning more about the Korean scene. That there's all those guys who've risen to prominence, kind of all trained together, basically, all played together. But JDCR and Saint, they basically said that they do train together, but they still hold a little something back, knowing that they're going to probably meet each other in the finals, or in the grand finals or whatever, which makes sense, I guess. And that's what's so interesting about being in a team, and yet at the same time, the team can't just win, the individual wins, you know? And so, I don't know, I just find the whole thing fascinating, but I definitely think there's the idea of the role that you have or had at F3 is very interesting. I'm not sure how many teams actually do that, but I think they should implement it more, for sure. And I personally think they should have at least somebody that they can send players to from a psychological aspect, because I think a lot of players get stuck psychologically. You know, when they have to, we were talking about this last night, but when they have to play legendary players and stuff like that, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Because we went through the Mena interview last night, and Mena was talking about, you know, a lot of people don't like Mena because they feel like he's really disrespectful. But that is kind of the point. Like, he has to look at Daigo, and instead of going, oh my god, it's Daigo, he's a legend, he has to tell himself, no, fuck that, Daigo's just a human being. And even go further than that, you know, tell himself, like, be kind of a little disrespectful in his own head to give him that confidence to go play against some of these better players. So sure. Everyone's got their own technique, but I think it's interesting, and I think sometimes some of these younger players could get past these mental blocks if they had somebody helping them. All right, let me ask you, let's have a fun question for you about players. Who do you find, which players fascinate you, like currently and all time? I bet you've got an all-time third strike player, probably.
Not really.
No?
Not really. I mean, you might think like Hayao, YSB, Hugo players. I don't know. I'm just interested in interesting things. No matter who's piloting it, it doesn't matter. Like I don't have an. Do I?
I don't know,
don't
dude.
think so.
You tell me.
Mm,
Any players at the moment that you find interesting to watch? Any game, it doesn't matter.
I was watching Pecos quite a bit when I was learning Geese in Tekken 7, but it's not like my hero or anything. I just appreciate people who are like high level and they do what they got to do to win. And of course, in the realm of like someone like Nemo or people who pick up unique characters and figure it out, that's always cool. But Street Fighter V is so different for me. Like I'm almost more interested in finding out who are the bosses of Tekken 7 and Eunice. Now I picked that up the other day, or started playing it the other day. It looks really interesting.
I know, I caught you playing it earlier.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're not supposed to see this.
Yeah, Eunice is the game.
To the XSplit slide.
I'm definitely interested in Eunice as well. I was a bit sad that they didn't put it. I mean, I guess it's not a big moneymaker for them, but they didn't put it on their tour. I was hoping they put it on their tour, on the Arc Revo tour, because there's a lot of people who are kind of interested in Eunice. I think probably because it's a one-on-one and it might not sound as complex as potentially Guilty Gear, but it is what it is. But I definitely want to play. I definitely want to play some of that. So that's on your horizon, basically. Eunice is on your horizon.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But if I had to pick somebody, it would probably be a Third Strike player. And then a Third Strike player, I don't know who I would name. There's so many of them that are just absolute beasts at the game.
What about
so
MOV?
Cool.
Chun-Li?
MOV is super good, but I wouldn't put him like... I don't want to watch him that much.
Oh,
although
okay.
He's super good. I mean, I've always wanted him to win more in like Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5, especially now. He's really out there.
Yeah, I mean, I saw MOV playing casuals at Canada Cup, and they were playing like one game. You know how like he's like the king of one game, right? Because SBO and all that stuff, right? But he was playing casuals, and it was just winner stays on one game, and he was doing it with Daigo and Fudo and all these and Sarko and everybody else. They all crowded around this station just playing this game basically of winner stays on. And MOV was on like a 17 win streak against these legends, and I just was watching a bit of it, and I was like, wow, this guy is godlike.
How about we go with favorite event? Co-op Cup, favorite event, free.
Right. Yeah, I thought you would say that. That's an exciting time for sure. Have you ever competed in that? Have you been over there and competed in that?
Co-op Cup? No,
Yeah.
The best I've done was I went to Okinawa briefly and I played in some of the arcades. That's
okay. So beating the arcade owner in Guilty Gear Xrd.
Oh well, no, it wasn't the owner. It was just salary man. He was playing May, but I gotta tell you, I went to this arcade with a friend of mine, Chris Creasy, who I met there on the Air Force Base. He introduced me to all the FGC members there, but he would also like drive. I didn't have a car, so he knew where the arcades were. So we would drive around, go to different Third Strike arcades or whatever they had. We went to this one specific arcade. I swear it was like an outdoor mall. We walked for about 10-15 minutes. We had to like pass by a bush, one of those little veils. Gave some guy a secret password, and it was like some Third Strike machine, cigarette butts everywhere, nothing but smoke in the air. And then I played. Okay, so I played a lot of Third Strike, and there wasn't really anybody who was better than me particularly. I could beat everybody more than they beat me until I went to that arcade. I played this guy. I think I can't tell you how much I spent, but we played at least 40, 50 games. I think I won 3 or 4, 5 times. Guess who won Co-op Cup last year?
That guy?
That guy.
Who was it? I don't remember who it was.
His name escapes me. He plays Yun. I could think of it if I squint my eyes hard
And you
enough.
were just like, you saw him on stream and you were like, holy shit, it's that guy.
Yeah, I would tell that story. I would tell that story all the time, but like I didn't know who it was. I was like, whoa, that's the guy. He didn't play Yun against me. I played as Elena, as Ken, as Q, as Hugo. I couldn't play Hugo against him. My Hugo was useless. I had to play Ken.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's
it's like a
wild.
2-syllable name.
So you know
Co-op Cup is my favorite player.
Yeah, it looks like you. I mean, you know that you played a very, very, very strong player. It was proven was proven. So now your story is legitimized because you
Oh
can,
yeah, he
you
won
can
it.
point to Cup and say that he won it. That's
It
amazing.
bothers me that I can't think of his name, but yeah, that was him. Oh, it's like right there. It's right on the tip of my nose.
You can tweet it out later or something. I did the same thing yesterday. I was on a podcast with Velociraptor and I couldn't remember the name of this Clayton Chapman. I was trying to think of the guy who does all the combos in Dragon Ball Fighters. So let me ask you. So
Day Run, yes.
what is
Thank
it?
you, Face. Day Run, yeah.
Day Run.
That
Face.
gentleman.
Thank you,
Or
Face. You can always rely on the chat. The chat always knows. Always.
Oh, that's a good friend. That's one of my Third Strike brothers back home.
Oh, cool. Good. It's good to see you in the chat. All right, so we'll do some chat. We'll do some chat questions in a bit. We won't take this interview over an hour. I do want to ask you a couple other things. I'm just kind of cherry picking stuff, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot more with Cross Tekken that I wanted to discuss because you asked me if I loved the game, and right now I don't want to play it. Like Tampa Bison, he's been asking me to play. Like every time I go in his stream, like, why you dodging me to Cross Tekken? And I get requests from Psycho Blue, who runs a lot of tournaments for Cross Tekken, and I don't have any interest in playing it. And for somebody who used to be in top 8 evil, you would be like, why don't you want to play? The phrase "it left a bad taste in my mouth" kind of puts it. Kind of, I don't think that's an accurate way to describe it, but the way it was. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like interrupt what you might have asked.
No, I love this. When you got something to say it.
So, I thought it was a great game, but it had a lot of work that needed to be done, and there was such poor press on it. And then the perception, and then people, and then how they think about it, and how confident people are with what they don't know. Like, they don't know what they're talking about, but they are so timeout cross gems, you know? And they're not wrong either. They're not perfectly wrong. But I don't know what point I want to make here. I mean, not just that I was frustrated and that I want to almost forget about it, because I made so many good friends through Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I had a lot of good memories. But I don't want to like try to rekindle the fire either. I almost want to leave it alone. But if there was a point to make, I want to poorly express how the shock value, or the way that you express things. I don't know who I'm talking to exactly, but the way that what you say on Twitter does have an effect. You know?
Oh yeah.
It does matter, even if like you can be so wrong. But the way this world is starting to shape up, and like the way what you believe is formed so much by what other people say, like credible or non-credible sources, and that's a problem we have today with like top players, their opinions, and they could be totally wrong, but it doesn't get reviewed. You know, there's a lack of peer review, and that really is like sort of like an essence of what I try to do as my whatever role is as a streamer, content creator, player.
Well, influencer. You said the word influence. So basically, if you have an audience, you're an influencer. And that's what social media is all about, right? Is people have audiences, and they have influence over those audiences, and then they say whatever they want. And a lot of the time you see, one of the things I hate, try to stay out of, is trial by social media. You know, it just fucking, the mob goes, and that's it. And you know,
it's not to say that you can't be wrong either. I think it's good to be wrong and then identify what you might have been wrong about. But that process gets lost on social media, because once you post something, it gets like it gets thrown into the abyss, and then that's what you're known for. You're not allowed to like amend it immediately.
No, that doesn't happen. You can't amend anything immediately, and you can barely change your mind or say sorry or anything, because somebody is always there to kind of stick the fucking knife in. And
I don't think there's anything you can do about it. I don't think there's anything you can do about it either, except be in the right mindset in the first place to like accurately, critically assess what's in front of you, or at least be open.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think you should not silence yourself or never be unfiltered. I think that's good too. Like Sanford made a post about Street Fighter 5 the other day on Facebook, and I think it was from a place of frustration, but there was a lot of truth inside of it too. And I think that kind of post is fine too. It might bring about the kind of change that we saw with your Bonchan interview.
Yeah, we might go through the Bonchan interview later actually, because I want to revisit that. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, the Bonchan interview is I don't think Bonchan. I think he said he doesn't regret it, But it it wasn't the.
You didn't anticipate the response, maybe?
No, he knew what he was doing. I could tell he knew what he was doing because when we finished the interview, I actually asked him. I looked at him and said, are you sure you want me to put this out? Because I do that with a lot of players actually. If they say something controversial, because I'm a little bit wary of. I take a bit of responsibility for the players. I'm a little bit wary of like I don't want to just throw something out there if I feel like, because I come from advertising, I come from PR. I know when somebody says something, and then it's going to be, the headline is probably going to be cherry picked by whoever. And so with Bonchan, when he said what he needed to say, I said to him, "Are you sure about this?" And he just looked at me, and because he can speak a bit of English, actually, he's been taking English lessons for a while. But he was like, "Yeah, just put it out there." And I think that was premeditated. Well, I know it was premeditated, and I know he wanted to say what he wanted to say, and I know he wanted to do it in his style, which is comedic but harsh. And he got the attention, and I've had a lot of players come up to me off the record and say, "I loved that interview. Like he spoke for us."
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an interesting thing. And sometimes you have to say something in a way that gets people's attention. And I think he's done his bit now. I don't think he's going to be doing anything like that in the near future. But I think he did more than enough.
Yeah,
for sure.
We discussed this briefly off stream. And I think it's within that realm of thought. Like I can make tutorials. I can make that kind of content where people learn from it. But what gets attention is if, like, I'm playing somebody and my stick disconnects and I panic and I start mashing the buttons and then I win, my controller goes back online. That is the kind of clip on Twitch that I get more views for.
Yeah.
More so than if I like put out what I like.
Yeah. Well, we're talking. I mean, that's a whole conversation about being a content creator, the world that we live in at the moment. I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole, but
it's like, what do people pay attention to?
Yeah, I mean, like people love drama. Drama's a huge one. Everyone loves it. Everyone follows it. They like it on Twitter. They like it on YouTube. Ernesto's been covering a lot of drama at the moment with his own, like comedic twist on it and stuff like that. People love that stuff. There's the world that we live in. Everything's very bite-sized. So, like, I have to take a different direction for my interviews now. Like, I'm gonna have to have like a smaller clip, like a 3-minute clip or something. Of something kind of juicy, but at the same time I have the I think the responsible part of me wants to make sure the player is happy with the clip that I choose, because they don't want to be defined by the clip. But people are, long content, people aren't. Long content works. People do like long content, but it just depends if they figured out how to listen to it. Because like podcasts, people can take on their headphones, they can be traveling, they can do exercise or whatever. But the majority of people on social media have been sort of, over a long period of time, me included, do this thing where I just zone out and I'm just looking for like something, that endorphin hit, that 1 minute. And the clip that you described, which is you fucking up and freaking out and whatever, will be shared and like, oh, look at this is hilarious, I'm on the floor, oh my god, I'm dead, oh, look at this, you know. And it's just the way it is. That's the world we live in social media at the moment, and it kind of sucks, particularly as a creator, because there are a lot of things that you want to do and you are going to be really useful for people,
who's going to pay attention,
educational, but they're not going to pay attention. So you got to find a way of, I guess, mixing up the two, which actually brings me.
That's a real tech too. I'm completely aware of how to like phrase my tweets, how to like put the right tags, but being honest at the same time. That's the real challenge.
Yeah, no, it's true. I've noticed you've gotten better at that. I was going to ask you like where you're at now as a content creator, as a streamer, right?
Yeah.
What do you want to like? What's at the heart of it for you? Like, what do you want to achieve? Is it education? Is it trying to help people come into the scene? Is it trying to help people who are already here just get better? Like, where you at with that?
I haven't quite put together a mission statement like that. Right now, my goal is being me through fighting games and paying the bills with it. And then once I can be financially, like literally secure that finance, then I can start expanding and working on other projects. But right now, like Twitch is that's almost 100% of my focus, because when G and Sagat came out, and I made more in a day than I make in a month on YouTube, like maybe I'll go back to YouTube later, but right now I gotta focus on that dollar sign. And if I can do that honestly, in the way that I want, without having to shield or sell out, I mean, I'm always honest about whatever it is I'm doing. Yeah. Then, you know, I'm pretty happy. Like that's a good foundation and a beginning to what might come next. But as far as like what I'm doing, like what I'm about, it's what we described earlier. Is I want to help people get better at fighting games and really understand, like, it's not just about fighting game. It's about thinking critically and problem solving and improving the way that people approach that. That's what it really is about for me. And that feeling you get from community in a fighting game, that's what's keeping me in. If Street Fighter V was just like a off thing, or if it was just like a solo thing, I would be playing it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it tough to stay? That was what I was gonna add to the cross Tekken conversation. Is that also, don't you think it's tough to stay in a game where not really many people are playing it, particularly when you're playing stuff on stream?
That's the whole thing, man.
It's not viable, right? Is it?
I think I was talking. No, I was talking with another guy from California, a good friend of mine, on Twitter, about how much it matters to have people that you like, that you're playing, or just having, first of all, having people to play with, and then when you have like people that you are friends with, like I can't even tell you, like my best friends are people I met through Third Strike, and then having a good game to play with good friends. Oh boy, let me tell you, that's a good time.
It's a good feeling.
But something like Street Fighter V, it's like a decent game, and then it still has that remnants of community and good friends, and that's really what's keeping me in. Is I don't want to say supplying, but like I have something to offer, and that gives me a sense of reward, and that's what keeps me in it.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about G and Sagat. Do you find those characters to be better designed than previous characters? Do you enjoy them? Like you said that you got a bit bored with some of the current season up until Cody, I think. Is it a style thing, or is it like you actually genuinely think these characters are interesting characters?
Yeah, I think they did a great job with G as far as aesthetics, design, concepts, and that's one thing that I felt with Falk was on the extremely low end of. Let me preface this by saying I think Falk is a good character. I don't think she's a bad character to play. She can be competitive. She has a place. There's things to do with her. But the presentation left so much to be desired for me personally. But with G, I don't care about story. That's not me. I care about numbers, plus signs, setups, psychology. That's what I like. That's what gets me going. But with G, I'm like, what is this guy? What's his deal? You know, I'm thinking about him as a character. Falk, I don't care. So for the producers of Capcom devs, for them to put that into the game and like get me thinking about stuff that's outside of what I care about, you know, they did a pretty good job there.
Yeah, I mean, particularly because he's kind of linked to Third Strike, right? Because he's got those similar moves. Well, you've seen that video, right? Which compares the moves from G to Q.
It's like speculation, but that's the point. Nobody truly knows. It's probably one of those things like where somebody writes a mystery story, but they don't even like think about it themselves. They just create the mystery.
Oh, with Q for sure. Like with Q, I believe that the intention was, because they've even published the notes on Q, right? And they're so like half finished. Like it's just
that's the intent.
It's like, yeah, because I don't think anyone's ever figured. I always thought like they'll never tell us who Q is because they don't even know, right? That's the whole point. Like,
and then they're like scratching their chins, like, let's see what they come up with. Oh, that's pretty good. Maybe we'll write that in.
Yeah, exactly.
Personally,
right.
I think G is Satan. At first I thought he was so cool and bringing people together, and then I saw some conspiracy tweet. I was like, you know what, this dude is probably he probably has devil horns under his top.
I seen the same tweet. I forgot who put that out, but it's somebody. I've forgotten who it is. He might even be watching now, but he put out the tweet with that whole theory. It was crazy, wild theory about him being Satan.
Yeah, it was fun to read. It actually like something I read. I can't believe I read it, and it was entertaining. But Sagat is on the opposite end in many ways. the storyline there for me is it goes back to, all right, whatever. What is this gameplay about?
Yeah.
The aesthetic, to me, I would put it above average, but like not a whole lot. It's like whatever. It's Sagat. But I also noticed that he's missing like post animations. I think his low tiger shot, he reels back in. But other than that, he doesn't have like the snapping fingers like G. Of course, he doesn't have the same personality as G. But there's like, it's almost like they put him out earlier than they anticipated. But it's like they put him like balanced, gameplay wise. But is he a complete package like G? I don't know, but I'm not sure if it's necessary either.
Okay.
But also gameplay. When I'm comparing G and Sagat's gameplay, they're almost, but not quite on opposite ends of the spectrum. Like G is capable of robbery, but he's also capable. He can play solid too. But Sagat, the way I put it is he's 50-50 down the middle. So a lot of characters in Street Fighter V, the good ones, they operate in that 80%, like V trigger, crush counter. You gotta guess. Most characters operate like that, and then the 20% is like fundamentals, spacing, reactionary, that kind of thing. And you know, you can get by with that 80%. You can beat Daigo in pools if you just have that 80%. But what usually helps people get that consistent, or they're capable of getting that top 8 more frequently, is that 20% being able to apply the fundamentals on top of it. But Sagat, I think, is 50-50. He has 50% fundamentals, and he's got some Street Fighter V-ery to him. But if you can't do either one, then he sucks. That's why I think a lot of people who are playing Sagat that come from Street Fighter 4 background, they can't quite pilot the character and navigate him to his fullest potential. And that's not to say that he couldn't benefit from a few tweaks, but I don't think people are playing him correctly, efficiently. Not even me. The more I play the game with him, the more I'm like, maybe I don't know as much about this character as I need to. But the point I'm trying to make is you got to have solid fundamentals and be aware of how Street Fighter V functions as a game is on its own. Can't do either one, you're lacking 50%.
Yeah.
You don't know how to throw tiger shots in anti-air, but you know how to do V-trigger mechanics, Sagat's going to suck. And vice versa. Do
you think Sagat is, in this form, is a true zoner? Or about as good as you're going to get in Street Fighter V in terms of zoning?
I think of Guile, Manat, Dalsim, maybe Nash, maybe. And the other end would, like the high zoners would be like Guile, Nash, and Guile, Manat, and Dalsim being like the heavier zoners. But Guile can kind of do both. But where Sagat fits in, he's around that area. He's capable of zoning. I guess I kind of answers the question. He's capable of it, but it's also difficult. It's not like you throw a light punch, sonic boom, and then boom, dominate the neutral, because it doesn't recover. I mean, the math is he doesn't recover as fast, but he's got it. His medium kick is underrated. His medium kick sucks by itself, but when you combine it with V-trigger mechanics, V-trigger activations, or if you do like medium kick and then Tiger Spike, which is the charged V-trigger 2, level 1, you can confirm critical art off of it. So whereas it's kind of like just a poking tool at first, a slow poking tool, kind of dangerous, under certain conditions, it becomes dangerous. Because if they're like about to die, if their stun bar is a little bit above where, if their health is a little bit above where their stun bar is, you can kill them from a distance with critical art and super. But that's what I think people have a problem with, maybe, is that they don't know how to see those conditions and then apply them. So it might be the perception that Sagat doesn't do any damage. But did you use the critical art? Did you measure where it's going to kill? And then if you start doing that, maybe we'll see like, wow, that actually killed him? Really? So, like, you got to be prepared for those situations.
Got it.
And that's what I feel like with Sagat's medium kick. Like, I have like a phase. I have a touch of Dalsim when I use Sagat's medium kick properly.
Oh, yeah?
It's a little touch.
Alright, so we're going to play a little bit anyway. What I want to do is ask you just a couple more questions, and then maybe if the chat has some questions, you guys should start piling those in now. And AUTOMATTOK can decide if he wants to answer any of them. But I did want to ask you, so what else in regards to like stuff that you're interested in, right? Your life. What else are you into outside of fighting games and streaming, or is that your whole life right now, or are you when you have time to do fun stuff? What do you like to do?
Man, I want to get back to making music again.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, but that's a hard one.
What type of music?
It's hard to categorize. A lot of people say, "Oh, you like new Jabez," or sort of like hip hop beats kind of thing, but with jazz chords, that kind of thing. But it's a little more complicated for me because I do more than that.
Okay, so there's a love there for music, and you're kind of missing that right now.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, it's just like that and being married, hanging out with the lovely waifu.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad that streaming is working out for you. When because I'm gonna close this section off, and then because I want these VODs to be separated. Okay. That's gonna be my new thing now if I start to upload these to YouTube and stuff. But the streaming. How often are you streaming? What's your schedule? Do you have a schedule?
My soft schedule that I've been trying to stick to, and I've been doing okay. It's like weekdays, 3 p.m. EST, 3 to 7, and I tend to do things like ranked, sub replay analysis. Lobbies every now and then. Of course, yeah, like the rank grind. What I intend to do, which may or may not happen, is get 4 characters to master at least. Zeku, Cody, G, Sagat. I might work towards getting all 4 of those characters to master, just so I have like something to do with Street Fighter V rank, like a goal. But what I like doing a lot lately is that replay analysis. So subs give me a replay ID, so I watch them play and then give them advice. And what I'm almost humbled and flattered by is my subscribers. I have good subscribers, so if there's something that I miss or if there's a question in the chat, my subscribers help me out, and they help out in just the same way for their replay analysis.
I gotta tell you, I have also got good subscribers. Just gotta throw that in. No, because I only started like 2 weeks ago, and like I got this core group who are just always there for me. I love it. It's brilliant, and my brain never works, so they always, whenever I'm trying to think of something, they always come up with whatever it is. Do you guys in the chat have any questions? If you don't, we'll move on. But let us know. And I was gonna say Jibbo, but AUTOMATTOCK can answer if you have anything.
Sure.
And now we wait. What's your favorite jazz pianist?
Oh, I mean, there's a lot of old school guys, but there's 2 pianists from Japan that I particularly like. One is in the band called Soil and Pimp Sessions. His name is Jose. I made a remix of one of his songs off of another group, like a branch off. And I tweeted at him, and he liked it. I was like, a senpai noticed me.
Wow, that's so dope.
And I don't know the name of the piano player from this really small jazz trio called Retrick. I think it's like Ryoto or something like that. He's dope. But of course, you got your Art Tatum. I like Art Tatum a lot. Got some other questions.
Yeah, you got a few more. You pick.
How many victims caught the 720 cam? What up, Josh? I don't know. I lost count. 720 multiplied by 6 or 7 or 8. I don't know the math. Why do I hate Geef but love Hugo? It has a lot. That has a lot to do with the games that they're in. And Hugo in Third Strike, I feel like I'm threading the needle and so many, like it's a needle thread through more needles. And that's just how it is. I don't know. It's sort of like a meme for me not liking Zangief. Jasmine Tan with Guru and Primo. I think I've heard the name before. I think I liked it. The Loneliest Monk, of course, is great. Bill Evans, smooth brother. You said that you think there's some Sagat stuff you haven't figured out. What leads you to think that? It's comfort levels. It's familiarity with some of the knockdowns. Like, for example, I've been working on the EX High Tiger Shot knockdown setups recently. I see Sagat players barely ever use like good knockdowns off of the EXs, or like identifying that it's a standing opponent and then using EX High Tiger Shot for the knockdown or for the Tiger Knee. I've been thinking of ways in my head to space Tiger Knees after a knockdown. So let's say I have them in the corner. I throw a low Tiger shot at a distance, depending on the knockdown, at a distance, and that keeps them in place. And then I find the spacing for a Tiger Knee where it's going to be plus. So it's like I cover both knockdowns and get +3 on both of them, depending on that spacing. So there's a lot of things to think about. I think Tiger Knee is what could make or break Sagat. But the problem with Tiger Knee, heavy kick and EX in particular, is that they're reactable. Unlike something like EX dash straight from Balrog, it's not reactable and has frame advantage. So it's going to take some more presence of mind in the neutral, careful spacing, which you don't have a lot of time to do in Street Fighter V. But I think it's potentially really good. Like if you, let's say you're a robot and you can always space a +3 knee on block, you're doing good. That's hard. What do I think the FGC is in terms of going esports, and are you excited for where it's going, or do you hope that the direction changes? That's a hard question. I don't know how I can.
Oh, that is a hard question. Normally I ask that one.
Brief. What characters would automatically see back in Street Fighter V? What up, Papa Bear? I don't. That's not me. I don't really get excited for a character in particular. I just like new things that are cool and interesting. Which is probably boring, right? Yeah, the FGC and NC is good. Lots of players.
Is there anything you wish you'd... that Dr. Swagenheimer.
No? I try to think about what's in front of me. I mean, sometimes abstract things as well, but no, nothing like that for me.
Alright, so listen, I'm going to turn the stream off and on again to make a new VOD, and I'm just logging into Street Fighter because I was in the wrong account, and then I'll set up a lobby, and we'll play a bit, and you can teach me some stuff. Oh, look, you got one more question.
Yeah, about the supposed leaks about system changes sounds whack. It sounds like it's too much, and I don't think they can manage it. Like I mentioned earlier, whenever they do something new, usually, but this is like games. When they release new games, they're not like new fighting games. They're not done correctly. Street Fighter V, MVCI, Cross Tekken. So as far as that many system mechanics, I would be skeptical that they would do it correctly. So I don't know. I welcome more, just to have more things to do in Street Fighter V. But I don't know if that's going to be what happens. Maybe half of them are true. You know, but I'm not. I'm just speculating. I have no idea. If in any case, if there are more things happening, I'm happy because I have more things to do. So yeah, I'll figure it out. Whatever it is. Fighting games becoming too easy. Would you like to see some as hard as it's like? Yes and no. As long as they're done correctly. There's one thing games, modern games. There's so many of them that suck, and then 2 years later they're okay. I don't think fighting games have time to suck and then be better 2 years later.
That's true. That's true. They need to take their time with these games, and that's the thing, right? When you have a beta, give people time to feedback. Jesus Christ. Don't have a beta and then say it's going to be out in like a month. Like, fuck that. Marvel was hilarious. Here's Marvel. It's going to be out in a month. Don't. Show us Marvel and then let us feedback, because...
Yeah, give it a second.
That was wild. Alright.
Weird times.
So I just invited you. We can continue to answer questions and stuff as we go along. I'm going to stop the stream real quick, guys, and restart it, so I've got a separate VOD.
I didn't get an invite. But
wait. Not yet. You got an invite now, okay?
Okay.
It's from Filthiest Casual.
The filthiest.
The filthiest. Hold up.